Masquera say, More Zimbabwe, welcome to our channel, Zim Confessions and Deep Secrets. Kana karibu tanka kukuya inu channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Kana chungwa gara subscribe, don't forget to comment and share this video. Nasi More Zimbabwe takigrai. Nyaya, yabudizo na presidential spokesperson wa George Charamba abo. Babuda, wachi blema wa Mnangagwa. Wacharaja wachiri did not handle the Mozambican election aftermath well, Pavangavari. The Southern African Development Community chairperson kufunga elections in Mozambique pakaitwa pa Mnangagwa ndiwo vangavari the chairperson we Sadc and my elections aya anakupera zvakanaka pane vanhu vakafa vamwe vakakuvara zvakanyanyisisa infrastructure ikaonekwa ichidamage kwamushure mekunge the opposition party yakabuda ichitaura yochiti my elections inga asiri free and fair vakabuda vachocharamba vachiposta on his X handle, Ghost X handle, yakanzi Jamwanda 2, vachikurudzira Sadc leaders kuti confront the region's challenges holistically. Muri Zimbabwe vakabuda vachikopa newspaper headline yakabuditswa the New Zimbabwe yakanzi Sadc leaders must confront region's challenges after Mnangagwa's clumsy handling of Mozambique poor aftermath conflict. Domabuditsiro akatwa nyaya iyi ZW News yabuda ichiripota pamusoro penyaya iyoyi sharayo vachiti presidential spokesperson George Charamba has insinuated that his boss President Emerson Mnangagwa did not handle the Mozambican election aftermath well. The Mozambican elections took place during Mnangagwa's tenure as the chairperson of the Southern African Development Community SADC. Posting on his Ghost X handle Jamwanda 2, Charamba urged Sadc leaders to confront the region's challenges holistically. As if in agreement with the statement, Charamba copied a newspaper headline which described Mnangagwa's handling of the Mozambican election aftermath as clumsy, a word that means mishandling. Sadc leaders must confront region's challenges after Mnangagwa's clumsy handling of Mozambique poor aftermath DRC conflict. Ndo the post yakabuditswa na George Charamba muri Zimbabwe vakaendera mberi vachiti meanwhile the Mozambican election aftermath was characterized by violence that left hundreds dead and opposition party members and other citizens protested the outcome. The ruling party Frelimo was accused of rigging the election with the help of Zimbabwe's ruling party ZANU-PF. Ndomabuditsiro akatwa nyaya that is ZW News tisingazive kuti munoiona sei muri Zimbabwe tiudzire zvamuri kufunga mu comment section. So New Zimbabwe yakanga yabuda ichitaura iyo ichiti the Southern African Development Community hosted its 45th ordinary summit of heads of state and government in Madagascar at the weekend. This year's gathering was held under the theme Advancing Industrialization, Agricultural Transformation and Energy Transition for a Resilient SADC. Madagascar President assumed the rotational position of chairman from the Zimbabwean President Emerson Mnangagwa, who chaired the organization since August 2025. Mnangagwa's chairmanship faced its challenging moments, including the violence and instability in Mozambique following the holding of general elections in October 2024, and the ongoing conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Both issues, which have far-reaching implications on regional stability, were not satisfactorily handled. According to the Human Rights Watch, about 300 protesters lost their lives and hundreds more were injured as a result of the Mozambican security forces' heavy-handed response to protests over the election outcomes. An extraordinary summit convened in November 2024, about a month after the elections, commended Mozambique for successfully holding peaceful elections and received an update from the then Mozambican President Filipe Nyusi. He was not asked any questions about police violence against protesters. Neither were opposition parties invited to state their side of the case. The handling of the post-election violence in Mozambique made a mockery of the SADC principles and guidelines for democratic elections, whose standards the Mozambican elections did not live up to. The bar for the standard of the elections in the region was already low, and the SADC's treatment of the Mozambican case buried the bar beneath the sand. as Malawi and Tanzania hold their general elections in September and October respectively, they will not have any standards to hold themselves up to. Another glaring embarrassment for the organization in the last term was the clumsy handling of the DRC issue. Less than 6 months after extending the Sadc mission in the DRC by an additional year in November 2024, the organization announced the withdrawal of the mission in November 2025. This after 19 soldiers, troop contributing countries, namely Malawi, Tanzania and South Africa, lost their lives battling the M23 rebels at the behest of the DRC government. The mission exposed Sadc's shortcomings in peacekeeping, including a shortage of equipment, personnel and poor logistics, which greatly undermined the effectiveness of the deployed soldiers. Since withdrawal from the Sadc mission in DRC, the organization has struggled to assert itself diplomatically in negotiating a peace deal in the DRC. Its awkward partnership with the Eastern African Community in addressing the DRC conflict seems to have been overtaken by the sidelined by Qatar and the US. We have managed to get a peace deal signed by Rwanda and DRC while bringing the DRC government and the M23 to the negotiating table. The summit came at a time when the region's relationship with the United States is under strain. All Sadc countries except Seychelles are on the tariff list imposed by US President Donald Trump in August, which restricts member countries' access to the US market. The new tariff rates ranges from 30% for South Africa to 10% for Eswatini. The US is a significant trade partner for the region, having taken in 17.2 billion of Sadc exports in 2023. The new development will hurt economic growth, while tens of thousands of jobs are likely to be lost, particularly in countries like South Africa, Lesotho, Madagascar, which have increased exposure to the US market. As such, there is need for a concerted effort to accelerate regional integration and industrialization efforts to forge resilient region value chains that will shield the region from an unpredictable geopolitical environment. Although Sadc is not a customs union, the fragmented response we have witnessed thus far to the US trade policies only puts the region at a disadvantage. Member states should consider ways to coordinating their responses to the US, which may increase their chances of getting a better deal. Other than trade, the US travel bans have affected 3 Sadc countries following the suspension of visa services for Zimbabwe and the imposition of an exorbitant visa bond for citizens of Malawi and Zambia wishing to travel to the US. These measures are an effective ban on citizens of the 3 countries from traveling to the US. On the other hand, Eswatini has agreed to deal with the US to be a dumping ground for some of the hardcore criminals being deported from the US. Recently, the kingdom received 5 prisoners deported by the US, described by the US government as uniquely barbaric and depraved monsters. While entering into such a deal with the US is Eswatini's sovereign right. While entering into such a deal with the US is Eswatini's sovereign right. Taking in prisoners who have committed heinous crimes, including murder and child rape, is a legitimate case for concern for security of neighboring countries in the context of the region's porous borders. Meanwhile, the US is forging ahead with its controversial resettlement program for white Afrikaners, citizens of South Africa, whom it falsely claims are facing genocide. It is important for the region to send a unified response to the US to rebuff these outrageous claims. Zimbabwe, tisingazive kuti munoiona sei 2 zero zvamuri kufunga mu comment section.